Welcome to Business Innovators Radio, featuring industry influencers and trendsetters sharing proven strategies to help you build a better life right now.
Hello and welcome to this episode of our show. This is your host, Keith Doherty. Today our special guest is top real estate agent Denise Antonewitz of Keller Realty based out of St. Petersburg, Florida. A native Floridian, Denise was born in St. Pete and she has been there her entire life. After having a career as a licensed dental hygienist for 16 years, she decided to retire from that and go after her dream job of being a real estate agent. She has now been in the business for 4 years, had and continue to have extensive training from Keller Realty. She has become a luxury specialist and earned her certification from the Institute of Luxury Marketing. She has consistently earned top awards within the company, and she is in the top 1 percentile of all agents in the Tampa Bay area. Having this status keeps her driven and passionate on a daily basis about what she does. All right, with all that said, Denise, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Keith, for having me today.
Absolutely. It's a pleasure to have you here today. And I guess, Denise, we kind of, saw a little bit in your bio how you got into real estate, but I guess, maybe you can give us a little more detail on that of, what led you into real estate? It sounds like you had a little bit of a passion for it and then you finally made the move over.
Well, it's a little bit of a long story, but I was a dental hygienist, licensed dental hygienist for 16 years. I'm a people person, so that career was wonderful for me. It really put me in touch with that side of me, which is, I got to have relationships with people. But basically, I was brain dead because I was not able to use my leadership skills and really just take me down the road that I knew I was destined for, which was running my own business. And I knew I had that passion for a really long time. So a fellow dental hygienist friend of mine started sending me emails, which today I realized they were drip campaigns, and she was letting me know about the market and things going on, and so I contacted her to find out more about real estate and what she was doing in her business, and I was also surprised that she had made a switch in her career. So I think I enrolled in the real estate school within a week after that conversation, and I've never looked back. And using the skills that I, and in the business and leadership roles that I knew I was destined for, and I didn't realize it was my dream job, and I'm very happy to be in my dream job.
Excellent. And can you talk a little bit about what personal attributes, traits, or qualities you think have most contributed to the success that you've had in real estate?
Well, I think it really goes back to my parents and being a young child and being told I was strong-willed, and I always was negotiating with them as a kid, and my own child does it to me today, and I keep telling him, you should be an attorney, you just negotiate all the time. It's, he doesn't take no for an answer, and I don't take no for an answer either. And my parents, just taught me let me embrace that side of me, and rather than try to squash my strong-willedness, they looked at it as an attribute. And I look at it today as an attribute as well, because I don't take no for an answer. I'm driven, I negotiate, and I'm a hustler with compassion. So I'm very compassionate. I care about people. I really care about the transaction. It's not, all about just getting the sale. It's such a bigger picture than that. So I feel like I'm the total package. I have the leadership skills and the compassion together, I think, make me successful.
Excellent. And do you think you could give our listeners an example of when these traits have played a role in your path toward success?
Well, I think it's really hard to come up with one specific example because I do quite a few transactions per year, and it's hard to really hone in on one thing. I really use my skills on a daily basis. I'm living it. I'm breathing it. I'm always working. And because every real estate deal starts with the same basic steps, you have constant beginning and end in place. But with each deal, it becomes its own unique entity. And because of all the twists and turns that transpire, having the experience of doing a lot of constant business, I believe is what helps me in my day-to-day, work. And with all the extensive training that I've gotten with the company that I'm with, which I really have to say that's a huge part of my success too, is the company that I'm with, is the training that they offer at Keller Williams is really, there's no other company out there that trains their agents, and that keeps my skills up so that I'm using them on a daily basis.
Excellent. And obviously, Denise, I think when anybody has success, usually the path to get there is not always just a smooth, sailing ride to get there. There's a lot of times there's adversities, there's trials and things along the way that sometimes slow us down. So can you talk a little bit about some of the adversities or trials that you had to overcome in order to achieve your goals?
Well, I am not a public speaker, and I've got fears like everybody else. So I think that those adversities, I got into this career. This is a second career for me, so I'm older than somebody starting out in their 20s. So I feel like I'm more mature, and I've been able to squash some of those fears that I've had at a younger age. And I would say I probably just I had to learn how to get out of my own way, basically. I try not to really overthink anything. I have this just do it attitude. Don't put too much thought into it. Just go into it head on, ask questions later so that you don't have those fears. You just jump in and go. And I think that was something I've had to overcome. And I had to stop trying to be too organized. In the beginning, I feel like getting into your own business, I think people think they have to be, this ultra organized person. And I think sometimes that's getting in your own way. And trusting in others to take the reins. I've been building a team in the last year, and I am a bit of a control freak, so I've had to be able to trust other people to do things so that I can leverage my business, leverage myself. Those are the things I've had to overcome.
Excellent. And I guess what kept you going when you hit these obstacles? Why didn't you give up? What's your driving force?
I think just wanting to succeed. Again, I'm very driven. I'm competitive, very competitive, and I like to see those numbers grow. And I'm not all about just the numbers, but it definitely drives me and pushes me to do harder. And plus the support of my family. I have a very supportive spouse, and he is my biggest cheerleader. And I think in this business, it's very hard to work as many hours as we do without having a supportive family. So they keep me going for sure.
Excellent. And I guess, Denise, looking forward, what's your vision for your business and your career over the next 5 years?
Well, it's funny that you say that because I have this word that keeps popping in my head, and I know it sounds huge, but I keep seeing the word empire, and I don't know why. And I know that, we should always make really big goals, and no goal is ever too big. So I'm keeping with the word empire. Not sure I'll ever really have that empire, but I like the sound of it. And I just plan to keep building on the team that I started, and really that's my goal is just to keep growing the team and change their lives. I've changed what I think I love most about this business too is I'm changing other people's lives that we're not into real estate, and now I've gotten them into real estate, and they're doing very well. And single moms, with children who I'm just changing their lives, and that means the world to me.
Excellent. And I guess kind of on top of that, what do you feel is the best way that you market yourself as a real estate professional so that you can have continual growth?
Well, I think it's really important just to keep your name in front of people. So I do a lot of social media. I have some print. I have actually a bench with my name on it. It's just all about keeping your name top of mind. So that's what I try to do at a high level, and I do that with print ads, mailings, and a lot of social media.
Excellent. And Denise, I think sometimes when it comes to real estate agents, that the general public has a certain perception of agents. Sometimes they don't. I don't think they understand truly what agents bring to the table, everything they do, both from a buyer and a seller standpoint. So what do you think the biggest misconception or myth that people have about working with a real estate agent?
Well, I think that, honestly, the biggest myth that I hear is that agents are really not that helpful at finding you a home. They're just in it for the money. And, of course, that's a huge myth. And also, the other one that gets me is I'll just call the listing agent. I'll get a better deal rather than work with a buyer's agent. And, the world in some aspects is becoming a do-it-yourself world with technology. But when it comes to, this profession such as real estate, having someone represent you who has knowledge of the market, the training behind them, the experience speaks volumes. So for most people, buying and selling real estate is one of their largest investments they'll ever do. And, having a professional represent them is, if they didn't choose a professional to represent them, that's not a wise choice. And like I said before, each deal is its own entity, and there's so many different scenarios that come into play. It's best to have someone who represents you. And going back to the myth of, agents don't really help you, just they're in it for the money really irks me, because it's just such a bigger picture than that. There's so many pieces to the puzzle from beginning to end, and I don't think people really understand what their agent is doing for them, because we're making the transaction run so smoothly that they don't realize what's going on behind the scenes. And if I could educate people, and that's what I try to do when I meet with them for the first time, is educate them to tell them what they're getting. And it's not really about the money. It's about having wonderful customer service and making this transaction, that's the biggest transaction you're ever going to do, feel like it was a piece of cake.
Excellent. And let's say you get a call from a family member or a friend, and they're in another state, and they want to sell their home. Now, obviously, we understand with your experience and being part of Keller Williams with, a vast network, and you could easily probably look up an agent and do a referral. But from a general advice standpoint, what advice would you give them about selecting an agent that could best serve their needs? Kind of how, you talk about taking care of your clients. What would you tell them to look for in an agent?
Well, I would, like you said, I would probably find them one of the top agents in their area and interview them. I do this a lot. I interview agents and find that perfect agent for my clients or family members in other states. But I would, of course, just in general tell people to, probably interview at least 3 different agents, and they should ask what their credentials are, research that they're licensed, and ask for testimonials. I think testimonials are huge, and I get a lot of my business from that, from my profile, and what clients say about me has driven a lot of business my way. And I would also tell them to look at what type of business they've done in the past. Are they a full-time agent? That's probably the number one question I would always advise anybody to ask, is if an agent's full-time or not, because you cannot do this business part-time. And I see a lot of agents getting into the business with full-time careers and trying to do real estate part-time, and they're doing a disservice to their clients when they do that. And I think a lot of people that hire agents don't realize that. They forget to ask whether that agent is going to be available for them, and they just assume it, and it's not the case.
Excellent advice for everybody. And Denise, obviously you're based out of the St. Petersburg, Florida area. So if somebody's looking for real estate services in that area, or they need an agent, what's the best way they can find out more information about you and how you can help them?
Well, I think the easiest way today is just Google somebody's name, Denise Antonewitz, and right there comes my website and comes my reviews. They can call me directly. I am an agent that the phone never leaves my side, and I get a lot of surprises on the other end when I actually answer the phone. I guess that's not the norm. And I would say probably just through social media and Googling the name, to be honest, and my website.
Excellent. Well, Denise, obviously we want to thank you for taking time out of your schedule to come here today and share all your professional real estate experience with our listeners. And if you're listening and you want to learn more about Denise, obviously you can go to her website, like she said. Also below this interview, we'll have a link to her site and any other contact information we have so that you can learn more about her and how she can help you. So with all that said, everybody, until our next show, have a great day, and we'll talk to you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks for listening to Business Innovators Radio. To hear all episodes featuring leading industry influencers and trendsetters, visit us online at businessinnovatorsradio.com today.